morning. It's Monday, February 6th. And on Saturday, Joe Biden proved that he was the right man to be president of this country. On Saturday, Joe Biden ordered the spy balloon that was sent over this country by China to be shot down. And remember that Joe Biden's presidency started off with a very, very rocky start with the evacuation of our troops in Afghanistan. That was a bad moment in his life and a bad moment for our country. But over the past 2 years, Joe has done a creditable job as the president. And now he has risen to the occasion by shooting down that spy balloon. And even though most of us agree that he did the correct things, there are still naysayers who said he waited too long. Well, I can assure you that those people who say he waited too long would have been the first people that jumped up and say he did the wrong thing if that balloon had landed on somebody's property and damaged their property, or damaged a building where hundreds of people were working, or just landed in one spot and killed one person, or just started a fire somewhere, or whatever would have happened if he had shot it down someplace over land in the United States. So they took the cautious approach, and they followed this balloon, and they had a spot picked out in the Atlantic Ocean where they could retrieve this balloon. I don't know if they really knew that there was only 47 feet of water in the spot they picked, but they must have known a lot more than those of us in the general public knew. So I think Joe handled this very well. And I think this action alone proves that he was the right man for president. Now you must recognize that everything that goes on in his country is not his fault. He has to deal with congressmen, senators, the Supreme Court. All of those entities have as much right and as much role in leadership in this country as he does. But he is in charge of the armed forces, and so there was nobody out there that could stop him from doing the correct thing by shooting this balloon down. Now we'll have to see what happens on the diplomatic front. Because at first China took the shoot down very calmly. But then after a couple of hours, they decided to attack us and say we were 100% wrong. This balloon wasn't doing anything. It was an experimental balloon, and it had no spy equipment, etc., etc., etc. But can we believe China? I don't think so. China is a great country for what it's done for its people, but it is not a great country when it comes to the rest of the world. China is out for itself. China used its people to create an economy that was booming because they had over a billion people that they had to put to work. So they were happy to take on the jobs that many shipped over there. And then along with those jobs, they got the technology that they required. And when you look back at that, you say, this was a big mistake. We went in there and we made billions of dollars because the Chinese were producing. But now that they are our economic equal, we recognize the fact that this was a big mistake. And this is the way they repay us? They spy on us? Is that what we really want to see happen here? Did the Chinese expect that we would do nothing? Yeah, probably. Probably they thought they were going to get away free, even though they were stupid enough to allow this balloon to be recognized. Why would they think that the United States wouldn't shoot it down? Maybe they recognize the fact that the U.S. is very cautious and is not taking big chances about getting into war, etc., as we recognize the way we have performed in the Ukrainian situation, very cautiously. But this time Joe Biden took the big step and he shot this thing out of the sky. And in my mind that was the correct thing to do. And that proves to me that he was the right man for this job. And maybe the naysayers will still find a way to find fault with Joe Biden. In fact, Joe Wilson, the Republican representative from South Carolina, and a member of the House Armed Services Committee, said that the Chinese balloon saga proves that both Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris should resign from office. Wilson claims that they should resign because they put many people in this country in jeopardy by allowing that balloon to fly across the country. And people in South Carolina, in his home state, he claims, could have been hurt, could have been damaged. And he's probably the first person to say something terrible, as I stated before. If this thing had landed anywhere and killed anybody, then they would have, Joe did the wrong thing. He is claiming that they should have shot down this balloon before it entering the continental United States. Did he want us to shoot it down over Canada, over Alaska? He's a joke. He's a joke, and he is just one of the many jokes that we have in our congressional force. Joe hasn't done everything perfectly, but who can? He's an elderly gentleman, but he's younger than me. But he stands up there, and he probably tells us the truth most of the time. And if he doesn't want to tell us the truth, he probably doesn't tell us anything. And that's okay, too. But once again, he has proved that the United States is a leadership country. He has shown the world that we're not going to take any real crap from anybody. And he has proved to the world that we will stand by our principles. I mean, taking on China is not the easiest thing in the world. And we shall have to see what happens in the future, because China depends on us. Now, will this precipitate China to move on Taiwan because we shot down the spy balloon? That is something that we have to watch out for. So I wonder if Joe has taken all of these facts into consideration. And I bet he has. And I bet this has proved to China one thing, that we will stand by Taiwan. If we're not afraid to shoot down that balloon, then we certainly won't be afraid to stand by Taiwan. So I believe that the U.S. will stand up when it has to. And I believe Biden is the right man to lead us, in spite of the many naysayers in this country. And listen, that's what the presidency is. Because no matter how many votes you get, there's still half the country that doesn't agree with you. So I leave you with that this morning. Joe Biden did the correct thing, and he did it at the correct time. And he avoided damaging anybody in the country. And that's a critical point that most of these clowns tend to overlook. So let's hope we find great information in the salvage operation. I leave you with that this morning. Have a great day. Bye.